what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of the platform, and just going to quickly show you guys some things that Brent is going to be taking a deeper dive into, different ways you can leverage the platform and utilize some of the tools that they use, some of the big boys use on Wall Street. So what you see here is a blank workspace. And these are some of the key features of the platform right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the Newsfeed first. And like I said, Brent is going to be taking a deeper dive into each of these different features. I'm just going to show you some of the ways to get to these features and what he's going to be taking a deeper dive into. So you see here this real-time newsfeed. And there's a couple different ways you can filter this news feed. So right up here is the filters. So you can filter by different categories, you can filter by different sources, and you could upload a watch list and filter by just your watch list. So you could turn the information hose up or down, if you will, just by filtering different ways. Right up here, you guys will see a search bar. So you could search by different words, and it's just that easy. I search gainers here, and I'm going to see all the different headlines for that keyword. Moving forward, like I said, I'm just doing a quick overview, and Brent's going to be taking a deeper dive. So if we wanted to find some information out on specific stocks, there would be two ways to get there. One would be by clicking the ticker symbol right there, and it's going to kick us over to this page. We're going to see some key data points and some key information or news right here. So once again, there's two ways to get there, either selecting the ticker symbol or the security icon up in the top left corner. So right here, you will see the default is Apple, a search bar up here to jump to different stocks, if you would like. And like I said, Brent's going to be showing us how to leverage these features a little further. So we have, quickly overviewed how to filter out the news feed. We talked about how to take a deeper dive into each individual stock. I am now going to show you guys our calendar suite. So right here, by selecting the calendar icon, we will see all of today's pre-market earnings. And we see that right here. Here's today's date and the post-market earnings. So if we wanted to select a date range, we could do so like so. If we wanted to jump back to today, it would be just that simple. If we wanted to see a specific stock, we'll just stick with Facebook. We would just type in the ticker. We would see all of the earnings dates for Facebook right here and see it. They are normally reporting after the market, and you will see that we can jump over to analyst ratings and see the different analyst ratings on Facebook. So just different ways to utilize the platform. Once again, keep the questions coming in, and we will make sure to get to them. Brent, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do here at Benzinga?
Yeah, sure. So I'm one of the guys that's helping head up the news team. What Benzinga News Desk is doing throughout the day is we're looking at a million different sources. We are trying to condense down a lot of that sourcing into a curated news feed of breaking news items that are market moving, stuff that you want to know about, and leaving out some of the noise on some of the stuff that you don't really need to know about. So what I was excited to talk to everyone a little bit about today is some of the News Desk owned sourcing and where you can find some of those sourcings in the feed. And I think, I'm going to be giving you a couple of good tips here. I'm going to be giving you a couple of choice keyword searches. So I think everybody, you should take out your pen and pad, bust out your WordPad if you're a PC user, and take some notes. That'd be awesome because, like I said, I think I'm going to give you a couple good keywords that you might want to utilize at a later time. So let's start here. So to talk a little bit about the News Desk sourcing. So we get a lot of our information, a majority of the information we publish on is coming directly from the corporations, the stocks, the companies that have stocks that are traded on the exchanges. From those companies, we're getting a lot of the information from press releases and SEC filings. I'd say, I don't know, maybe 60%. A majority of the information you're going to see on any publication on the Benzinga Newsfeed also is going to come via an official press release or an official SEC filing. So I'm going to dive into that a little bit and show you that. I'm going to show you another feature on the platform. It's called BZ Signals. If we're talking about sourcing, I'd say that source is the market itself. BZ Signals is more of an automated, more based on market data, and you're getting automatic alerts to the feed. Also want to tell you a little bit about the sell side, which is another big source for the Benzinga News Desk. And then some of our, I call them more low-key sources, you know, some of the sources that we can't disclose fully their identity because they have some exclusive information that, you know, we have to be pretty sensitive about. And you can find all this stuff in Benzinga Pro, and I'm going to walk you through really quick. So let's jump over, click back into the news feed. We're looking at the Benzinga Pro news feed here. What we're looking at right here, and I'm going to just highlight over here, this is BZ Wire. This is the Benzinga Wire code. So all of these headlines that you see labeled BZ Wire over here are hand curated by a reporter on the Benzinga News Desk. We're not talking about automated headlines here. We're talking about something that somebody thought was a news item that somebody on the news desk thought was notable enough to type out on their own, and that's where these are generated. However, you can look into the raw press release feed that we're watching all day. So we're watching the press release feed, and there's, you know, 5,000 press releases that come out on a day. We're looking at the majority of those, and we're deciding that this press release is notable, we need to get a headline out at right now, or this press release is nothing, this press release is some kind of promotion, it's not going to be material to the stock, it's not going to move the stock, and it should be omitted. Our users on Benzinga Pro platform don't need to know about it. So I'm going to show you really quickly, again, this is the curated feed that you're looking at. If you see BZ Wire, if you are a high intensity user and you want to see the raw feed, I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. So click over, I click the filter button here, click the filter button, and I'm going to jump over to the sources tab, and as you see we have two sources highlighted right now. This is the BZ Wire and the BZ Signals, which I alluded to. I'll show us a little bit more later. I'm going to click off these two right here, and I'm going to click on just press releases. So this is what the majority of the Benzinga News analysts are looking at throughout the day. We're reading, as I said, 1,000, more than, you know, a few thousand of these a day, and we're deciding on what to post. But there is good information in here, stuff that we can't always get to right away. If you are, let me see if I can find you a real quick example. If you're a shareholder in, let's say, ticker CHSCP. If you're a shareholder in this company and you're doing some deep fundamental research, Benzinga Pro is going to alert you to the fact that this report was issued. However, we're not going to get too in-depth with kind of the, you know, the nitty-gritty of this release. So if you're a user that needs that, you can use this raw press release feed to get a ton more details than the curated Benzinga Pro news feed will get you. And again, I think this is if you're doing like some deep dive fundamental analysis, you need to know some, you know, particular metric that's really important. This is a good way to do it.
And Brent, you know, if you don't mind me asking,
sure.
what are some of the most important things you are looking for inside the press release?
Oh, that is a really good question. Okay, so if we could just take like a quick little lesson through how I look at a press release. Let's just try to open this one really quickly. So I clicked it open. Here's the actual press release. It puts it in a nice little format here. What I'm looking at when I look at this right away is there's a couple things you can do. You can start at the top of the press release and look for some of the important figures, or you can right away scroll down to the bottom and look for, at least in the context of this report, we're looking at an earnings report, you can jump right down to the bottom and you can see the company's financial statements. Companies that are traded on the NASDAQ or the NYSE have to put their releases in a very similar format to this. So they're always going to be the income statement, the balance sheet at the bottom of an earnings press release. So if you are sort of more of a visual reader, I would recommend going with the latter route and jumping down to the bottom of the press release right away and you can see, it's more of a table format. You got your earnings per share right here. You got your sales figure up here somewhere at the top. If you're more of, like a reader, if you can stand to look at some paragraphs like this stuff up here, I'd recommend kind of diving in right at the top, and you should see within the first paragraph or two, you should see reported net income, and obviously you'd be looking for the number right after that. You should be looking for the earnings per share. You should be looking for the revenue figure here, the sales figure. Those are kind of like the two most notable figures in an earnings report. The top line, which is the sales figure, and the bottom line, which is the earnings or loss figures.
Excellent. Appreciate that.
No problem at all. So pretty similar to the press release feed, a lot of information that we get is coming out of SEC feed. And I'm going to jump over really quickly to the raw SEC feed. So I'm going to click off my press release source, and I'm going to click on my SEC source. And this one is going to be, if you're a high intensity user and you want some of this raw information, the SEC feed is going to be a little bit more intensive. It's going to be a lot more information. However, if you know how to sift through some of this stuff, it'll help a ton. And so I told you guys to take out your notebook and your pen and pad, and this might be where you want to jot down a couple good keywords. So if something that I'm interested in trading, for example, is hedge fund holdings. Every 4 times a year, hedge funds are required to put out their quarterly holdings. I believe it's 45 days after the end of a quarter. A hedge fund is required by law to disclose all of their holdings over that quarter. And that comes out in a SEC filing called a 13F. And so what we can do is we can use that little search. And I'll show you this in the raw SEC feed, and then I'll also jump over to the curated Benzinga BZ Wire, and you can see how some of the reporters on the news desk are getting you these headlines. So let's try 13F is what it's called. Let's see what this results us in. So we got a couple of 13F filings right here, as you can see. There wasn't a ton today, obviously, because we're kind of out of the 13F season right now, but you better believe in the first 2 weeks of May, you're going to see a ton more of these 13F filings. And a really easy keyword search I did there, and you can just click right into these, and this is the actual raw SEC filing. And again, this is stuff that the Benzinga News team is looking at throughout the day. If you want to look at this raw feed, you're going to be looking at the exact same stuff that the news team is. It can't get much quicker than that. However, the kind of challenge is sort of understanding what all this stuff means. Just to give you one more quick example, I want to show you, I'm noticing up here at the top, I see a lot of Form 4s. And what a Form 4 is a required disclosure of some kind of insider transaction. A director or an executive either buys or sells stock of the company that they're working at. They must disclose a Form 4 filing. And just to show you kind of this neat little keyword, simple but effective keyword search, I'm just going to search for Form 4. And you can imagine it's going to return me the Form 4 result, and I can see all the Form 4s here.
Is there any way you can hone that search down even further?
Let's see. So I think I would answer you with the Benzinga, the BZ Wire feed is going to help you a lot. It might not be the answer you were quite looking for, Mike, but that's what I'm going to give you. So let's click back over to Benzinga here. I'm just going to turn on my Benzinga feed. And you can see I still have my Form 4 on, so it gave me a couple of results. Let me give you a quick different example here. So another form that is important via the SEC is called what's an 8K, and the 8K is sort of like a general corporate action filing. If a company needs to disclose an increased dividend, if a company needs to disclose a big M&A deal or a big contract, and they don't choose a press release to disclose that information, they got to do it in an SEC filing. So one thing I was going to highlight here is the 8K. So let me just type in the search there. And remember, I'm on my BZ Wire feed right now. So anything that has the keyword 8K in it, you should see it right here. And so basically, this is how the Benzinga News team is kind of curating down a ton of those SEC filings into what I'd call a much more understandable piece of content. So like, for example, this 8K from Delta included an investor update, and it also gave some outlook. Somebody on the news team published this headline, they taped up this headline, they clicked they linked over that actual SEC filing, so you could click it and go get the information if you wanted to. And just to show you the information, the important information that we pulled out of this filing, I'm just gonna search Delta right now, ticker DAL, and we can see what returned here. So the first headline says that there's an 8K out. Heads up, there's an 8K out. It's got some guidance. The next headline, which was out about a minute after, actually gives you the guidance. So that is some of the work that the news team is doing right there. That second headline where we actually pull out the guidance, you don't even have to go into that filing if you don't want to. That's the advantage there. Cool, so let me jump over to another topic here. I'm gonna open my filter button again. We're gonna change the source up, and let's see what the BZ Signals has to offer. So if the last sort of section that we were talking about was information coming directly from corporations, what I'm going to show you here is going to be information coming directly from the market. In other words, price action, volume action, options activity, stuff that's actually going on in the marketplace. There's trades happening, it's happening in real time. The market can give you signals a lot of times. And Benzinga BZ Signals is going to help you do that a lot. So what BZ Signals provides is an automated solution to a couple of categories that we know are important. If we notice material price action happening in a stock, one of these signals automatically triggers, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to use the keyword spiking, because that's a word that is in one of these headlines. So let me hit that. And what's happening here is there is an automated solution on the back end of our system that is looking at market prices every second throughout the day. And if there is a very material move, notable move, dramatic move in one of these stocks, one of those alerts will trigger and you'll be alerted to it on Benzinga Pro. So for example, and actually I'm just going to pull up Bed Bath & Beyond, it's ticker BBBY. They had some news after the close. And I want to show you how important this BZ Signals tool can be sometimes. So let me turn on my Benzinga Newswire. I want to show you the news that happened on Bed Bath & Beyond. And actually, I'm going to give you a little pro tip here. I'm going to do a setting that I like to use on my Benzinga Pro feed. So what I did right here is I clicked this little cogwheel up in the top right. It's a little settings button. I'm going to add a theme, and what I want to do here is I want to change my BZ Signals to be themed. So you've seen on the left side of my screen a bunch of colors just popped up. It's going to make it very hard for me to miss one of these headlines, and it just kind of adjusted the color to a color that I like a little bit more. So, and actually let me zoom in here so you can read some of these headlines really quickly. So look at what happened here. I'm looking starting after the close, about 4:15, we're getting headlines on Bed Bath & Beyond coming into the newsfeed. And even before we could get the earnings headlines out, Benzinga Signals was alerting you to some dramatic price action that was happening in Bed Bath & Beyond. So how should I use this as an investor, as a trader? Well, basically to alert me to maybe go start looking for some news. If I see that Bed Bath & Beyond is spiking about 7% higher, I'm at least alerted to there probably being some kind of news item out there. In this case, you probably had to wait about a minute or so before you learned it was an earnings report. Earnings were better than expected. The guidance looks like it was pretty good. They also raised their dividend here. And so now you know within, a matter of a couple minutes why Bed Bath & Beyond shares spiked about 7% higher or so. So a couple other things I want to show you on BZ Signals. I'm going to jump back over real quick to my filters, change my source. I'm just going to turn on BZ Signals. So a couple other things that you can use via BZ Signals, and in other words, signals that you're getting right from the real-time action that's happening in the market, is some of our news halts. So I can use keyword halted, H-A-L-T-E-D, and I can see the Benzinga Signal alerts that only have the word halted in it. And if you see these, what you should be thinking right away is there's probably some news coming out on one of these issues. So trading halt T1 means that there's news coming. This trading halt news dissemination means that news already hit, and the exchanges or the companies are now halting the stock. And why a stock gets halted is a lot of times like CAFD here. there was a pretty big news item after the close. I believe the company said that they were going to look for some kind of other structure for the company. It had big implications, basically. And so what happened is either the exchange decided that the stock needed to be halted, or a company can ask the exchange, hey, we have some big news coming out. We think the stock should probably be halted because there might be some extreme volatility that hits right as this news item gets published. And so to avoid that extreme volatility, a lot of times what happens is the exchanges will actually stop trading in those issues so that the news can come out. And then another pretty important one that a lot of our users like via this BZ Signals is our options alert. So I am filtered by BZ Signals only right now, and I just did keyword option. And so right now, what I'm being shown on the Benzinga Pro platform is only filtered by Benzinga Signals and only filtered by the word option. You aren't going to get any of those other BZ Signals like trading halts or like the price action. And what happens a lot of times with some of these option alerts is sometimes these underlying stocks, like in Sears, for example here, maybe there wasn't price action happening in Sears at this time. However, there could have been traders or investors that were using the options market in Sears to kind of position themselves ahead of an event. So how a lot of traders use options is they'll basically use it as sort of an understanding that's happening off of the actual security, away from the actual equity. So I'm going to jump into another category here. Another source that the Benzinga News team uses a lot is the sell side. These are the Wall Street analysts, the researchers that are working for investment banks that are doing the research for JP Morgan, Bank of America, Barclays, Morgan Stanley, for all of their brokers. And this is a really good way that the Benzinga News team gets pretty high level analysis relatively easy. We have a lot of good relationships with a lot of these sell side guys and gals, and if we don't understand a news item, if we don't understand what's going on with some kind of topic, we'll a lot of times give a call to the sell side and we'll say, hey, analyst covering CAFD, for example, what does this news item mean? So let me turn back on my Benzinga BZ Newswire, and I'll turn off BZ Signals for now. And I'm going to filter again, actually. I'm going to filter by analyst ratings. That's the category that will show you only stuff coming from the sell side. So what you're seeing here is a lot of headlines. These firms will upgrade or downgrade their recommendations, and a lot of this stuff will come in the morning. That's why you're seeing the timestamps over here on your left kind of jump from, after the close, quickly makes its way through the midday trading session. And then as we get down into the pre-market, you're going to see a lot more headlines because a lot of this information comes out before the market opens. So this is stuff that you can get on other sites. The fact that, Cowen downgraded Novartis this morning isn't anything exclusive to Benzinga. You can find this on a lot of other websites. We are pretty timely with these, so you can get these alerts nice and early. However, we do, like I said, we do have pretty good relationships with a few of these analysts, and the headlines right here that you're going to be seeing in red are exclusive commentary that the Benzinga News team has gotten right from a couple of analysts. So this guy, Dan Kurnos at Benchmark, he's a source that's close with Benzinga, and we'll tap him a lot of times and say, hey, what did this, Twitter is not going to do Thursday Night Football anymore, Amazon's going to do Thursday Night Football. Does it mean anything for Amazon? We don't really know if it's going to mean anything for Amazon. Can you tell us if you're adjusting your model based on this? And so, he says, whatever, this is an expensive deal relative to value, but it's going to give Amazon a good way to monetize via Prime. So some exclusive commentary, you can't find this anywhere else. And, here's another little comment from a longbow analyst, Alton Stump. He's talking about the Panera deal, and this is stuff you can only find on Benzinga Pro. You can't get it anywhere else. Let's see. Okay, so one other sort of source that I wanted to show off was can be found via our market movement exclusives or our exclusives tab. So a couple of those headlines, you'll see a couple of the same headlines that we were just looking at when we were clicked on the analyst rating tab there. And what we're looking at here is our content that we are doing more investigative work on. So this is where our news team is really digging into the news, and we're trying to uncover information that no other sources are reporting out there. And the difference here, I selected two categories. I selected exclusives and market movement exclusives. Exclusives is when we get some exclusive commentary, unique commentary. We think it's really good information if you're trading or investing in a stock. Market movement exclusives is not only exclusive information, but it's also information that we feel is going to move a stock. We feel that that information is strong enough that a stock might go higher or lower based on our publishing it. So it's kind of a branded way to have you notice something, to let you know that we've been working hard over here and we're kind of digging into some uncharted territory, and we think this is something that the market is basically going to have to reprice for. Whew, okay, so that was a lot of information. So this is stuff, everything that I've shown you so far is stuff that is already existing on the Benzinga Pro platform. In other words, there has to be some prompt, a news item, some kind of trend or a trending stock, etc., for us to publish something on this. If you're a user who is looking for sort of like off the radar, maybe more kind of like low key news items, stuff that maybe the trade isn't saturated in, and you're kind of doing your own research, you can still use the Benzinga Pro platform extremely effectively. And I'm going to show you how to do that really quickly. So I'll just turn off my market movement and my exclusive here, just so we don't got a bunch of red that we're staring at. So this little bubble down here in the bottom right, it says chat for more insight. So what happens if I click into it? Where does it go?
Help button.
Help button. Thank you, Mike. Let me see. There it is. Okay, great. So it says ask the Benzinga News Desk. So we're giving you real-time market intelligence. It says from 9 to 5 p.m. Sometimes we're around a little earlier. Sometimes we're around a little later. But how we kind of build this one is you can have your very own news desk right at your disposal. So now kind of jump back to what I was saying a second ago. If you aren't seeing headlines on a stock that you're trading and you think there's a news item, or you're just sort of looking to bounce an idea around off of somebody, you can chat into the news desk, and one of our news team members will answer the chat within just a few seconds. If you say, hey, what's going on with ticker Valiant, VRX? We'll pull up our own news sources really quickly. We'll look to see if there's something that maybe we missed via a press release or an SEC filing, or maybe if there's something going on social, on Twitter. There's some traders on Twitter talking about it. We'll get you that information in just a few seconds, in just a few minutes at the most sometimes. If we find that there's something else at play, it's not a news item, we'll reassure you there's not any news that seems to be impacting the stock, even if the stock's moving. That being said, sometimes we'll look at technicals really quickly. We'll pull up a chart and we'll say, okay, there's a notable level here at $20. The last time the stock was by $20, the sellers came in and the stock had a big down day. We'll give you some of that technical insight. If we still can't determine why a stock might be moving dramatically higher or lower, what we'll do is we'll get on the phone, we'll try to call the company, maybe they'll know. We'll ask them, hey, did you see what's happening with your stock? Is there any reason which could justify that price action? If they can't explain, which a lot of times they can't comment on that kind of stuff, what we'll do is we'll go to some of our more unique sources on the street. We'll go to the sell side, we'll call up our analyst buddies and see if they can help us a little bit, explain why. Sometimes we'll call the buy side, the guys and gals, the funds that are on the other side of the equation that are, buying the stock for an investment or some kind of activist position. A lot of times they'll have some really good insight. And then we have a lot of other sources around the street that, are in chat rooms, in trade rooms, that are communicating with communities. And sometimes they can at least point us to something that is also pretty important affecting the stock. So that's a quick rundown of the News Desk chat. I would definitely recommend jumping in there and just trying it out. As it's showing up here on the screen, we're around from about 9 to 5 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll try to give you as much color as we can, and we'll do it in an extremely timely manner. A lot of times what happens when people chat in to the news team here is the stock will be moving a lot higher or lower, and we'll just confirm for somebody, hey, yeah, the stock's moving, but we don't see any news right now. And a lot of times that'll reassure a user. At least they're not dealing with, some kind of dramatic fundamental change that's happening with the company. Stocks can move higher or lower just because a lot of times. At the least, we can reassure you that you're not, dealing with a big news item.
Excellent. Thank you, Brent. Really took a deeper dive into leveraging some of our tools. Please, if you guys have any questions, I think Brent will be sticking around for another minute or two here.
Sure.
Once again, I want to show all of you guys how to register for the platform. So if you have not signed up for a trial yet, please do so. You go to pro.benzinga.com/register. I will drop that link in the chat one more time. And you guys can all register at this website. And once you put in your information, you will then get sent over an email that will give you your login credentials, and then you can just go ahead and log in. So really appreciate you guys sticking around here with us. We will be doing another featured webinar next week, so please keep your eyes open for that. And we will be doing a product overview webinar that will just be a quick 15-minute one on Friday. So if you guys are interested in hearing more about that, I will shoot you my email right here in the chat. So feel free to drop me a note. And I would love to, if needed, hop on the phone with you guys to show you how to leverage the platform. So,
yeah, and Mike, let me interrupt here for a sec. We are extremely open to the topics that we talk about on the webinar. This is going to be something regularly scheduled, but we don't always have the topic scheduled right away. So if you have some ideas about stuff that you want to learn more on the platform, don't hesitate. Give Mike an email. He sent the email into the chat there. It's mikemarshall@benzinga.com. Send him an email. Let him know a topic you'd like to know more about, whether it's the calendars, whether it's more into the news desk chat or busy signals. Whatever you feel like you could use a little bit more help, maybe a walkthrough, maybe some examples of, we'd love to help you guys out there.
Absolutely, and as Brent touched on, one of the main things for us in the development stages of this platform is getting feedback from users that are using it, and what type of features they're looking for and wish that were out there. We have a big development team that loves to hear from you guys. So your feedback matters to us, and we're looking to develop the platform for you guys.